Secretary of Agriculture of Iowa here today, Bill Northey, and he just came back from the great state of Minnesota, so maybe he'll fill us in on what all the convention was about, and I'm sure he'll address all your questions. So,
great. Well, thanks everybody for coming. Getting around doing our town halls, we're just talking about, I'm not sure exactly how many we've done here. We're probably around somewhere between 60 and 70, or maybe a little north of 70, something like 30 left or so. Getting around to all the counties, just a really good process. I'm from one of those counties a long ways away from Des Moines, and people don't make it a point of coming there. You don't get to see them, and I want to get out and get around, and appreciate you being here. One of the things we were just talking about here a little bit. One of the first things everybody asks is how the crops look around. And the crops generally look a lot better than we thought they would back in June, but July, August, they always look better. The tassels are all even out there, even if they tassel 3 weeks apart. But it looks better out there. It seems like, we did have really darn near perfect weather after that for probably 6 weeks or so. And now you can start to see that moisture stress that's out there. Really, a lot of places, even in eastern Iowa, there's spots that you can see some of that moisture stress. Still have holes in the fields where we had drowned outs. Talk about going through central Iowa where you see a cornfield, and then you see corn that's half as tall, and then inside that you see a set of soybeans that are only about that tall, and inside of that you see the drowned out, where they had 4 sets of plantings done in that, and they finally gave up. So we get certainly spotty crop. It's hard to tell exactly what's out there, but as of June 20th, that week of the 20th, we had about 10% of the corn ground, 20% of the soybean ground that was not planted or had been drowned out. As of the 1st of August, the numbers that I saw were about 1 million acres left. That back in June was 3 million acres. So we got about 2 million acres, something like that, that's probably late planted soybeans. They need a late frost. If you get an early frost on those, you probably it's not even worth running a combine for it. You get a regular frost, you might have a shot at some of those, but probably not much of it. The rest of the stuff out there needs an on-time or late frost as well. But certainly those replants definitely need that. And there's some replant corn, not a lot, but there's some replant corn out there. Some of it looks good, but it's got a ways to go yet, too. We'll have some quality issues, obviously, if we get a frost, besides the fact that we'll have some yield issues. But, this is one of those that's we don't know a lot until we get a combine in to really know what's out there. Stuff is coming though, and it looks a lot better than it did at one point. It looks a lot better than the worst case scenario that we're all running through our heads back in June. It's going to keep raining forever, and at least it looks better than that. The markets reflected that then as well. The other thing that we talk about is then the impact of the flood. What happened? We saw some erosion out there. We did some tours to get around and look at stuff before the crop got too big. We saw some damage to terraces and grass waterways. About the back of the envelope numbers, when we did a survey out to the counties as of the middle of June, was about $40 million worth of damage to grass waterways and filter strips and sediment basins, mostly waterways and filter strips. We also saw about 10% of the ground out there that had more than 20-ton erosion on it. Our goal is to keep it 5-ton or less. So some severe erosion on some pieces out there as well. I think overall the practices held very well. We had terraces, that are designed to hold 2 inches of water, 2 inches of runoff, and sometimes the soil was saturated and they got 6-8 inches on it. And they got it all in a matter of a few hours. And they held often. They held back the worst part of it. They held back the worst erosion, but they're not designed for that, and sometimes they got overtopped, sometimes we lost them. Certainly we found some areas too that farmers are going to realize that they needed more practices out there than were out there. And we had some grass waterways and filter strips that need some maintenance on them too. You know, grass waterways that have been out there in the same place for 20 years, maybe been narrowed up, maybe caught some silt over the years. And as they filled in with silt, water comes like it did this time, and it cuts along the outside of that, and they need to be reshaped. And we need to get out there and do some of that. So that's going to certainly be part of the work that happens at our offices this fall. That's going to be some of the effort. We try and get some dollars to be able to make sure that we've got some cost share to get some stuff done out there, and look ahead as well into some of the maintenance that needs to be done on practices that maybe weren't compromised this time, but need some maintenance done on as well, and make sure that we do some of that. It's easy to get them on, but we got to talk about what we do, especially if they're off maintenance agreements. You know, they're 20 years old, they're 25 years old.